Hey guys, welcome to Dylan's Little Hobbies, and bacteria. Welcome to episode 3 of the ins and outs of fish keeping. In today's video, we are talking about biological filtration. Everything you need to know about biological filtration. Otherwise known as the ins and outs of biological filtration. And what biological filtration really is it's basically stuff that bacteria can live on. And bacteria, I know, bacteria. When you hear the word bacteria, you think of germs. You think that the word bacteria means something bad. But believe it or not, bacteria, the type of bacteria that we are trying to grow in our aquariums, is beneficial to our fish, which is why it's called beneficial bacteria. Now, I talked about this in episode 1, go check that out if you guys haven't, but in episode 1 I talked about the fact that nature uses bacteria to filter its water, and we basically want to do our own by cultivating, which is just a fancy word of saying grow our bacteria in our aquariums and in our filters to filter the aquarium. It's pretty simple. Now, the type of bacteria that we are trying to grow is not a free-flowing bacteria. So, for those who believe that you need to do only a 20% water change because of the bacteria in your water, guess what? You can do a 100% water change and it will be just fine. The real reason why you don't want to do more than a 20 to 40% water change, unless something is wrong with your tank, is simply because of temperature. Fish and other invertebrates and creatures that you keep in aquariums can actually be delicate to temperature changes, and thus you change 20% of your fish tank and the water temperature is not going to change very much. You change more than 50% of the water in your fish tank and the water temperature could dramatically change. So that is the only reason why they suggest you do 20% water changes once a week. But if you choose to, you really could do 100% water changes, assuming you made the water perfectly match the aquarium before it, and be just fine. Because bacteria, it needs a surface to live on. It's not a free-flowing bacteria, it needs a surface to live on. And it needs a high oxygenated area, which is why in your filter, 80% of your filtration is going to live in your filter, because, again, it just needs a high oxygenated area. And bacteria is a living thing, guys. So it needs a food source, which is, of course, your fish waste. And it needs a high oxygenated area, which is of course provided by your filter. But there is only a certain amount of biological filtration you can have in your aquarium, unfortunately. You can only have as much biological filtration as the fish provide. So, say I had one fish in my tank, right? And even though I had a 10-gallon filter, say I had a 10-gallon tank, and I had a 20-gallon filter, let's say, and I only put one fish in there. Well, guess what? Even though it's a 20-gallon filter, the biological filtration, the bacteria, there is only enough bacteria to support that one fish. To make it support more fish, you need to add fish to the aquarium slowly. Add 2 to maybe 5 fish at a time to an aquarium, and let the bacteria slowly grow over time, over the course of at least a month before you add more fish. So if you're planning to get a big aquarium, let's say for just simplicity's sake, 100-gallon aquarium, and you're wanting to put 100 fish in there, which 100 fish, that's crazy. You shouldn't put 100 fish in a 100-gallon aquarium. But anyway, let's, for simplicity's sake, say it is true. You got a 100-gallon aquarium, and you're wanting to put 100 fish in it. Okay? Okay, let's say you got one fish in there, and the filter, even though it's a 100-gallon filter, it's only able to provide filtration for one fish. And even if you took a filtration from another aquarium and put in there to jumpstart it, let's take the 10-gallon example again. Even though it's a 10-gallon tank and it's has a 20-gallon filter, if it can only support one fish, and you put in the 100-gallon aquarium, well, guess what? You are only providing it with one fish amount of bacteria. So, in a simple sense, to add more to it, you need to do it slowly. I would add 2 to 5 fish at a time, and then slowly let the bacteria grow up, okay? Grow and expand, and yeah, you just need it to cultivate, and it will cultivate in time. However, if you have a 100-gallon aquarium and you add 100 fish in there right away and didn't let bacteria grow, then I'm afraid that there isn't enough bacteria to support the fish, and you are either going to have a humongous algae bloom, or you're going to end up with a lot of dead fish. And this is why many beginners in the hobby get depressed, get mad at the hobby, and get they quit the hobby before they even get started, is simply because they think they can't keep anything alive. It's not the fact that they can't keep anything alive, it's the fact that they are not letting their bacteria grow in the aquarium before they add more fish. So, if you just got a fish tank today, let's say you just got a fish tank today, and you added 5 fish to that aquarium, and then add just a little bit of filtration from another tank to this aquarium, okay? It's only there to support maybe 1 fish at a time. And when you add new fish, you should do more water changes than you normally would do, and let the bacteria grow up, expand and cultivate again and again before you add more fish to it. Because if you just keep adding more and more fish and not letting that bacteria grow, you're just going to end up killing your fish. And this is why so many people get out of the hobby, because they think they can't keep anything alive. And that's simply not the case. It's a simple case of you didn't do as much research, which is why I'm making this series, by the way. I'm making this series because I did do the research for you. And I'm hoping that you guys can watch my videos and learn this so you don't make those mistakes. And again, I did all of this research before I even got into the hobby. And I've been in the hobby only 2 years as of making this video, but I have had some pretty good success with my tanks, and I've only lost a handful of fish. I have lost a handful of fish. I'm not perfect. Everyone's going to lose fish eventually. But I have had, for the most part, a pretty successful hobby so far. So, yeah, that is my video today. That is everything you need to know about biological filtration. That is the absolute basics of biological filtration. And I hope you guys liked the video. Like, share, subscribe for more for the rest of my video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm out. Bye!